You know, you are the ones making this possible. We didn't realize our Fortnite on iOS review would be the most viewed video on the gaming channel, but due to popular demand, let's talk about PUBG on iOS, because this is somehow gonna be different. There are a couple of key differences between PUBG and Fortnite, both on mobile. But first of all, they're not meant for mobile. Let's get that right out of the way. A lot of the same complaints we have about Fortnite are brought over with PUBG, as in it is so clearly not really meant for this. I'm not for sure about this, but it wouldn't surprise me if one of those companies that shows their name before the app opens has nothing to do with PlayerUnknown. Literally, they just take PC games, port them over to iOS, and then they're done. We still have this problem with both first and third-person shooters on iOS that it just doesn't really flow right. The touch controls on this type of shooter feel bizarre, and especially in a game like PUBG, there's so many different commands. At least it tries to fix some of them for you, like the auto pickup feature, which honestly, I feel like that should be a feature on PC anyway, which basically means if you find some items, you walk directly on top of them, you'll start picking them up automatically. But there's a lot of unintuitiveness. First of all, this suffers from the pop-up issue. Something that really bothers me about Asphalt 8 is every time you open the app, you are confronted with like 90 different panels. Check in day 1, claim your points. We added this new DLC, can you buy this? And also with in-app purchases, we can enable this. This is a big problem with PUBG on iOS. It likes to constantly pop up things. And what I found funny was it asks you to log in with Facebook while at the bottom saying, make sure you're up to terms with our privacy settings. That login with Facebook option feels a lot more dated, especially when so many people are trying to boycott Facebook. But then head over to PUBG and log in with your Facebook account. Or you can continue as guest. But what I found weird was even when I logged in with Facebook, it auto gave me a nickname that was already taken. This was just one of the first of many things that feels unintuitive as a game. Just because you're a mobile app doesn't mean you have to be stupid. I also find it kind of bizarre, and you'll notice by the gameplay footage, that your character is by default basically naked, just wearing underwear. You have to go and find those items to put clothes on, which to PUBG's credit, you know, it does look pretty nice on the A11 chip. I've tried this on both my iPad Pro with the A10X chip and my iPhone 8 Plus with the A11, and in terms of graphic performance, I might even add that it looks pretty good. It maybe looks a little bit better than Fortnite. But as you guys know, Fortnite's going for more of a cartoony look, which personally I think has a lot more character. And when you're going for realism, when you're trying to make the graphics look good and look believable, but then you compress it down to a phone and tablet, it doesn't translate well, and it comes off as just being a very cheap knockoff. And yet, this is the official PUBG app, endorsed and promoted by PlayerUnknown's. But I don't think realism, when you're trying to just get graphics that look as real as possible, especially when it's a third-person shooter, it just doesn't work right. Probably later we should do a video on the Infinity Blade trilogy, which we really like here, but for the most part, those games are fairly faceless. Your characters are wearing armor. And at the time of their releases, that trilogy did look really good, but with this game, there's not really a campaign. All of the characters have faces, and you by default are all naked, which is just weird. You have to check into the app regularly to get clothes, and I just kind of wish that when the game opened, you can customize how you look, because it doesn't affect the performance that much whether you have a white shirt or no shirt. It's just when you're downloading a game and you're experiencing it for the first time, you don't want to just be confronted with, oh, I have to look naked the whole time. This is gonna be fun. What they did consider was something I think Fortnite on iOS should have, which is a sprint lock. It's kind of admitting that they have a problem with this game, because what it means is you're gonna be spending a lot of this game just sprinting and going in the same direction. And what it results in is a lot of the gameplay just looking like this. You know, you just time to sprint, so you just sprint lock and then you go do other things while your character runs towards the circle. Exciting and exhilarating gameplay, right? Also, didn't even bring up that at the PUBG app's launch, nearly 80% of the characters you were playing with were actually bots. Many players were starting to catch on to this as why getting kills and getting chicken dinners on PUBG was so easy. It's because for the sake of having so many people join at once, and for the sake of servers not being able to handle that many players at once, they decided to cut it down to more like 20 to 30 actual real players and then 70 bots that are pretty bad at shooting. I got a kill in PUBG, but I honestly don't think it was a real person. They were looking right at me, they were shooting and missing, and I'm not that very good at games, especially on touch controls, and I was still able to kill him. So I'm guessing that was a dumbly designed bot that was trained to make me feel good. What is nice about PUBG though is you do get that vehicle support, which is just something you don't have on Fortnite, but then again, you're losing out on the building aspect of it. But personally, I think the building part, when you're building a whole fort literally in a shelter, that type of commanding doesn't work on mobile as well. And until either of these games gets controller support, everyone who plays this game is just going to be really equally bad at it. And the sad thing is, once they actually add controller support, whoever has the controller is going to slaughter. Personally, I just think that these games are obviously meant to be played on something else. The idea of the free phase where we put everything on mobile for free is really just an enticement to get you to buy in-app purchases, because these games run so sloppily and the commands just fill up the UI, and basically whenever you're looking at it and you have all these commands popping up like open door or pick up item, too much content, in my opinion, is being displayed on that tiny screen at the same time. Even on an iPad, it can get pretty overbearing, and I think when devices like this are combining the display and the controls into a single panel, things get incredibly confusing and most people are not going to enjoy this game. It is free, so I mean, you can try this for yourself, but to me, games that have different command prompts like pick up item, exchange item, inventory, driving cars, or building fortresses, all of those things are a lot more helpful when the controls in the display are separated, as in PC or Xbox, PlayStation controller. One advantage PUBG might have is that it does cost money on a computer, so if you don't want to pay for PUBG, like I actually don't own it, my friend Wyatt owns it, but I can now play PUBG on my phone or iPad for free and I don't have to pay for it, but am I going to? Not really. Runs incredibly sloppy, things are just kind of tacked on, so many different pop-ups you have to fight for. I am kind of confused how right now the only two options are like login with Facebook and guest, which means that you select your username once and then you're done. There's no kind of like collective build-up, or if there is, they don't make it up front. If anything, PUBG on mobile is really just a good way to check your graphics performance of your device. Just be like, I wonder what graphical performance my device can do. But spoiler alert, the iPhone 8 and 10 are going to look pretty good, and the 2017 iPad is not going to look very good. It's as simple as that. So do you really like PUBG on mobile? I'm confused as to why, but please feel free to let me know in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Nope, that's not it. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have an excellent day. Take care.